Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson, and this is the place investors go to gain actionable advice, learn about current market trends, and hear war stories from other professional investors out there in the field today. Before we get started, I have two quick housekeeping items for you. First, if you like this episode, we would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and share. It is the best way to support the show and keep it running far into the future. Second, if you're a new investor looking to get started in real estate or an experienced investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you that will cover how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance those deals with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. On top of that, I throw in an insane amount of free bonuses that you'll have access to once you buy the ebook. All I charge is our admin costs to keep this show running. So if you're serious about real estate investing and want to create both active and passive income as an investor, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com and click on the button that says get the ebook in the upper right-hand corner to grab yourself a copy. With that said, let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest with us, ready to drop some investor knowledge on you. So buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have with us Daniel Johnson. Daniel is a certified financial planner and a real estate investor owning 9 single-family units, which are a mixture of long-term and short-term rentals, as well as nurse housing, which is exciting because we haven't talked about nurse housing here on the Real Estate Investing Club. He is also the owner of REI Focus Financial Planning, a financial planning company that specializes in working with real estate investors. So I'm super excited to have Daniel here. Daniel, thank you very much for hopping on the show. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me, Gabe. I'm really excited to be here and just share a little bit about what's going on.
Absolutely. Told you before we jumped on the show, we always start with stories. So why don't you take us back to yours? How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah. So I actually started in 2007, which, as everyone can think back, real estate was just going up and up and up, and it was the best place to be. So bought my first property in 2007, and it was kind of a house hack, before that term was really popularized. So bought a townhouse in Asheville, North Carolina, got a couple of my friends to be roommates to pay me rent. They covered the mortgage and lived there rent-free for a couple of years until I got married. So obviously 2008, 2009 happened. But overall, I still own the property, and it's still, it's not a bad place to be. I took a little bit of a break from real estate for 4 or 5 years, but in 2013 got back into it. Purchased a home that had a garage apartment attached, and started getting into short-term rentals, and kind of saw the opportunity there with Airbnb coming online and becoming more popularized. And over the past 6 years or so, have built out and added a number of additional properties that like you referenced, are short-term rentals, Airbnbs, and nurse housing.
Awesome, man. I love it. And I love it. I love when people get started in house hacking, because it's such a good area, a good way to get started in real estate. I mean, it's a house you own, and you just you use it to generate revenue by renting out by room, which is especially if you're in a good metro, it's a really good way to go about it. But you got that bad boy in 2007, which is, that's just before the date. What, if you could remember, what did it go from to, and what was the value that dropped between like 2008 and 2010?
Yeah. So we bought it for $160. And I think at the bottom, I remember a couple of these townhomes in the same neighborhood selling for about $100,000. And so I really wanted to double down and buy another one, but I wasn't living in the town at the time, and it just made it a little bit harder to do that. But yeah, it was a pretty nasty drop. But but hey, man, you learn exactly.
That is real estate. Since I'm sure it has come back. Asheville is a great metro to be in, so I'm sure that is the value there is fine. You haven't lost your shirt there. But since then, you've been doing short-term rentals and nurse housing, which is really exciting. I have never jumped into short-term rentals. Me and my girlfriend, we saw a Hobbit home online that was rented on Airbnb, and we're like, we want to do that. So we even went out and we scoped out land trying to find some place to put our Hobbit home. We haven't done it though. So what has been your experience with short-term rentals? How'd you get started there?
Yeah. So we were in Asheville, and we actually used that house that had the garage apartment, and we couldn't keep really great long-term renters in the apartment, and that was kind of our initial go-to, and we just had a really hard time finding somebody. And then I got clued into Airbnb, and it was like, hey, a lot of people are coming to Asheville, and so we decided to try it out, furnished it up, and put it on there. And like the first night we had it listed, we got a booking, and it was like booking and booking and booking, and it was like, wow, there's something to this. We were just hoping to break even on the, pay the mortgage, and it did that plus some. So that's when, the business idea kind of just clicks, and you're like, well, let's lean into this a little bit more, let's figure out how we can do a little bit more of this. So, we continue to add units. I partnered with some folks to add more units to grow a little bit faster. And, now we're at a point where we brought online last year in the middle of the pandemic 4 condos, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos that we renovated. And that actually led us into the nurse housing route. Is, the world shut down. Airbnb for a couple months there was out. Nobody was traveling. And so we had to figure out something to do with these units in order to continue paying the bills. And so we pivoted into nurse housing and opened it up to travel nurses. That basically the idea is that they travel around, and they're in this particular city for 3 to 4 months. Obviously they're not moving all their furniture and stuff like that. So what you do is you have a house that's decorated up. It's got, turnkey furniture, and you pay the utilities. And so they can move in and just start paying rent, and they don't have to worry about setting anything up. And they can just go to work, come home, and have a nice, comfortable place to live. So they're willing to pay kind of a premium for that. And it works out really well.
So it sounds like nurse housing really is, it's just furnished housing, but it's marketed specifically towards nurses. So, I mean, everything that you're talking about here, long-term, short-term nurse housing, it's all the same structure. It's still, that one condo you bought, it can be turned into any, specific type of rental. It really comes down to how you market it, how you operate it. So kind of go into the differences you found in running those 3 different types of businesses.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously long-term rental is way more hands-off. You can turn it over to a property manager. You can go and find your tenant and rent it out yourself and check on the property, every 6 months or so. And you can be much more hands-off with a long-term rental. Short-term rental is the exact opposite. Like you've got to be on it every single day. You've got to watch your phone for messages coming through, the sync's clogged, whatever the case is. And you have to be up on top of it. Obviously you can still outsource that to a property manager, but short-term property managers charge upwards of, I heard of somebody in Lake Tahoe, 30%, of gross revenues. So you're going to pay for it on the other end of it. What I love about the nurse housing route is it's kind of a blend between the both. You don't get the revenue potential that you would with short-term rental. But you do get a little bit more of the hands off, because somebody's going to move in for 3 or 4 months. They act a little bit more like a long-term tenant. It's not as urgent. You're not going to get a bad review on your listing if you don't respond to them within 5 hours or something like that.
Right.
But so you get a little bit of a premium on the rents. And so I really like it from just a structure standpoint. And it's right in the middle between those 2 types of rental units.
And it sounds like that's almost, I would equate nurse housing to student housing, not in the sense, student housing, you're not going to furnish it, but you have to be located around a building, essentially. You have to be near a university. In your case, you have to be near a hospital. Maybe I've never done this, so maybe I'm speaking out of my ass here, but so when you look for nurse housing, are you specifically finding larger hospitals and buying properties around them?
Yeah. So I'm located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And for those not familiar, that's where Wake Forest University is located. And so Wake Forest University has a medical school. So you have medical students, you have nurses, you have just a huge medical community here. There are two fairly large hospitals located literally like 2 miles from each other. And so you can kind of triangulate a good area to buy a property that would work well for nurse housing. Because that's another thing is nurses like to be, they're going to work 12-hour shifts. They don't want to drive 40 minutes to get to their place that they're going to stay. So you want to find something within a couple miles of that hospital, so that they can just get off their shift, go home and crash, And so it makes it really nice and convenient that there are two hospitals right here.
Yep. Makes sense. So I'm gonna ask you to choose a favorite child here. If you can choose one of those models, which would it be? Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Oh, I guess, for me right now, I certainly would take the more active kind of short-term rental approach, just because, you're able to goose the income. You're able to kind of get to your point of higher financial freedom components. However, I definitely see myself in the next 10 years transitioning the model to a more passive model, to where I don't have to be on the clock and micromanaging everything every single day of the week. So I would imagine if you catch me at 45 or 50, I would say that that the hybrid approach, the nurse housing approach, is going to be much more appealing than the hustle, make sure everything's tip top shape with the short term rental.
Yep, there's a time and a season for everything, right?
Yeah.
For the short term rentals, what's the occupancy statistics that you guys kind of spit out?
Yeah, so the Asheville market is where we're sitting with most of our short-term rentals. I've got one here in Winston-Salem, but in Asheville, we're sitting right around 80 to 85% occupancy in Asheville.
Yeah, that's a lot more than I expected. I always love hearing about Airbnb, people who do Airbnbs, because I've never been in that field, but it just sounds like fun because they're going on vacation, they're looking to have fun. You're part of that, so very cool. Awesome. I want to move off of your specific investments and onto the other side of your business. You are not just an investor. You also are a financial planner for investors, which is a very specific type of financial planner. I've never actually heard of one. So tell me, how does that actually work? Why are you financial planning for investors only?
Yeah, I've been a financial planner, financial advisor, whatever you want to call it, for a little over 8 years now. I worked for a large advisory company. Worked with a lot of great folks, great clients. But what I saw was, whether it be looking on the Bigger Pockets forum or Facebook groups or wherever, I noticed just a lack of coverage, I would say, for folks that have real estate. They want to continue to invest in real estate, but want a financial planner that can look at their situation with that real estate focus. Because the problem with financial planners, financial advisors, is that they're generally working off of either commissions, that's kind of the old model, and that's transactional in nature, or two, it's what's called assets under management. So the idea is that, hey, look, you bring $300,000 to somebody, they manage it in the stock market, right? They don't really have an interest in helping you with your real estate, because chances are, if you keep on investing in real estate, you're probably going to end up pulling that money out and they're going to lose their paycheck, right? So my approach is a fee for service, and basically just saying, hey, look, you're going to pay me a fee and I'm going to give you advice on everything. And I don't care where your money is located. I don't care if it's in the stock market. I don't care if it's in real estate. And the idea is that I put myself on the same side of the table as my clients, as a real estate investor, saying, what do you want to do? How do we make sure that you're not taking too much risk in your situation? Make sure you still have all the pieces, the core pieces of a financial plan, except I'm not going to be basing it on your portfolio that you have under my management. Mm-hmm. So there are kind of two ways to approach it. I approach it in both. Is one's like an ongoing relationship where you have constant continual access to me as a planner on an ongoing basis, and you just pay like a monthly or quarterly fee for that. The other way is just kind of a one-time financial plan where you zoom in, you get a snapshot of your situation, you pay a one-time fee for it, and then the engagement is done after that. So either of those work really great for financial or for real estate investors. Some are like very DIY. They just want to, somebody look over their shoulder, make sure they're not making any big mistakes. Some people say, I want to be able to call you whenever I can or whenever I need to talk about, different things in my situation. So.
Got you. And so do you generally push people to put their money into real estate or diversify into stock markets or crypto or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I don't like to push people in any directions. I think there is kind of a natural inclination for different folks on different types of investments they feel comfortable with. Yep. Some people feel very comfortable with their money in the stock market with a lot of volatility up and down. And some people feel very comfortable in real estate with basically no liquidity, illiquidity. And we saw it in 2008, 2009, your prices, went from $160,000 on my townhouse down to $100,000. And I probably couldn't have sold it even if I wanted to. So like there was just vast illiquidity. Mm-hmm. Now, if you had your money in the stock market, you experience the same declines. The difference is you could push a button and you could sell that portfolio. And so some people feel more comfortable being able to push that button and sell the portfolio. Some people are like, you know what? I don't want to be able to push that button and sell my portfolio. And I'd rather have real estate that is just going to kind of be out there. And I know I'm stuck with it for a long time. So I don't try to push anybody in any different directions. My main thing is just making sure that their risk they're not over leveraging themselves. They're not putting themselves in a situation that if 2008, 2009 repeats itself, that they're going to have problems. I used to underwrite deals based on, occupancy rates of 50% for Airbnb, right? Damn. So yeah, kind of like underwriting very conservatively. And I thought I was being very conservative with it. What I didn't realize is there was a thing called, a pandemic that could happen, which would literally bring occupancy rates to zero. So it's one of those things that you always have to look at the worst case scenario, even if you don't even know what the worst case scenario is. Make sure you have sufficient liquidity, sufficient cash on the sidelines to be able to cover your mortgages, cover your obligations. That's what I look at. That's the primary driver for me. I don't care if somebody has 95% of their assets in real estate, as long as that 5% is really, really safe and it will do a really good job of covering all of their, financial needs. So that's my approach on it.
Man, you would hate advising me. The minute I get a dollar, I put it into real estate, and I'm horrible with liquidity.
Yeah.
All right. So we've reached the mark. We got in through the 15-minute mark, so we got to go into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Sure, I'm ready.
Okay. It starts with books. I'm a big bookie, so why don't you give me 2 book recommendations, one for general life wisdom and one for real estate in general or specific.
Yeah. So kind of like a general life wisdom, I've got a family of 5 now, my wife and three little boys, 9, 7, and 5. And so I don't have a ton of time to read. I kind of think back to the times, in the middle of a financial crisis in 2007 to 2009 that I was able to read. But one of my favorite books, even just kind of from back then and still is today, but it's a book by a guy named Donald Miller. It's called Blue Like Jazz. And it's kind of just like a life, kind of searching story of figuring out yourself as kind of a young adult, kind of situation. So real estate book. I mean, one of my favorites, just because the concepts are so powerful, especially today, is the Burr book, by David Green. So buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And so David Green with the Bigger Pockets group over there put that one out. It's a really solid book.
Very cool. I haven't had that recommendation yet. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Moving on. So if, I lost my page. There we go. If you could go back to the Daniel who had no real estate experience, go back to him, look him in the eye, and give him one piece of advice moving forward.
It would have been, I know it feels tough right now, but continue to push into real estate in those like times that it's really scary. When it was like, is this ever going to end? Am I going to be able to cover my mortgage payment this month? Are my tenants going to continue paying? Like, that fear piece that I had, like what happens if there's a leak in the roof or whatever the case is. Just say, hey, look, it's going to be okay. You're going to figure it out. You're going to find the cash somewhere. Just keep on investing, because I don't know where I would be now if I had that mindset back then. That if I did, pony up to the table and buy that other townhouse for $100,000, where my real estate career might be now. Obviously, you can't take it all back, but yeah. So
no, I think that's great advice. Just do not listen to that. I mean, obviously, you have to take the fear voice is trying to protect you. So you got to at least give it a little bit of credence, but don't base your decisions on the fear, because it is not going to steer you in the right direction. I remember when I was buying a mobile home park out here in Washington, and it was septic. It was on septic, and I'd never bought a mobile home park on septic before. And it was like a 19 cap. It was an amazing deal. Like anybody would buy it. And, but in my mind, I had that voice going. It was like, what if every single one of these septics failed and I had to, replace every single one of these septics and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, just shut it up. Just don't listen to it. Keep moving forward. If only listen to the small piece of wisdom that's in the fear, and then just take the next step. So love that piece of advice. Moving on. So we all have Superman strengths, and this is an opportunity for you to brag a little bit. What is the skill that you feel you are exceptional at?
At the end of the day, everything comes down to like personal relationships. So, putting that over everything else, and making sure that you're taking care of the people around you, whether that be your tenants, whether that be your partners, whether that be your family members, just trying to be as real as possible and to give of yourself as much as possible. I hope that other people would say that's a Superman strength of mine, that I'm going to be there for them if they need something, and I'm going to try to pitch in and help as much as I can, that I'm going to be a really good landlord to the people that I work with, that they know that I care about them and that they're going to have a good place to be. So
I love it, man. It's a great skill to have. If that is a skill, I'd say that's more a skill of the heart. Moving on. So United States, huge place to invest, a lot of opportunities out there. What one area are you most excited to invest in the future?
It's a good question. I'm very, very kind of tilted towards the South, just because I see a lot of movement here. I mean, you got four seasons, you've got a lot of really, good institutions. You have a lot of, solid states. So, I mean, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, these South Carolina, these areas are really great. I mean, I love the Winston-Salem market. I love the Asheville market. So I gotta say, I gotta be, excited about that. I like the Midwest from a cash flow perspective as well. But I would say, for me, it's right here at home.
Yep. No, there's a lot of talk about the Southeast these days. It's a really great place to take a look at. I'm actually buying a mobile home park out there in Americus, Georgia. I'd never heard of it before, but now I have. So there we go. I'll be down there in the South soon. Moving on, last question. And this is for the listeners. You've given us a lot of good advice. So if somebody wanted to reach out, get in contact with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. Probably two best ways to find me is, first, my website is refocusfp.com. So that stands for, real estate focus financialplanning.com, refocusfp.com. Email address is daniel@refocusfp.com. And, that's totally the easiest way to get in touch with me.
All right, perfect. And I will put that link in the show notes. So if anybody wants to get in contact with Daniel, just click a little more in the description. It'll pop down the full description. In there, you can find the link, click through, say hi to Daniel. Awesome. Well, Daniel, thank you very much for hopping on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gabe.
For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason that we do this, so we appreciate having you here. If you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me and Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started or an established investor looking to invest, take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for quick assignment cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the Ebook Bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day, an even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.